Big Bang is Big Bang. And I'm not going to lie to you, we're going to surprise people.
That was a loaded question.
If you have a thing for sapphire watches, I think Hublot this year single-handedly will take care of that issue.
Is there a future for Hublot where we'll see a dress line?
First of all, I think that's something I want to work on to get the credibility that today we don't get yet. And I think it's not fair.
My first reaction when people asked me what I thought was, Julian, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me. Here you are taking on the CEO of Hublot. My first reaction when people asked me what I thought was, if you were going to do for Hublot what you have done for Zenith, putting Zenith back on the map in such a strong way. I think over the last few years, and I know this from firsthand because I'm in the business of selling watches. I know what people are asking for. I know people's reaction. I think what you have done with Zenith has been tremendous. I've yet to go visit Zenith to see the new novelties, which I'm sure you're also responsible for. Seen some pictures. I am excited to see that. How does one go and switch gears and keep the momentum going as you did with Zenith, now moving on to Hublot?
Yeah. It's a different approach. It's really a different approach. If I go back to Zenith, when I came to Zenith, Zenith had a very long history, very long legitimacy in watchmaking, obviously with the El Primero, but not only. But the brand had become a bit old, a bit dusty, it was too quiet. So we had to make it, to rejuvenate it, make it more contemporary, bring some modernity in the brand, capitalizing, of course, on the heritage, but making it a 21st century brand. Hublot is different. Hublot was only born 45 years ago, Big Bang only 20 years ago. It was a very quick success in 20 years since the relaunch with the Big Bang. And there are things that we need to catch up, we need to update. You know, it's been a very strong brand in marketing, it's obvious. It's been a very innovative, creative brand. I want to work a lot on the watchmaking aspect because we're selling watches, and I believe that we don't get enough credit. You know, I was many years at Vacheron, many years at Zenith, so I know what great watchmaking means, and I was very positively surprised visiting Hublot, visiting their skills, meeting the master watchmakers we have, and I think we don't talk enough about that. Next to a strategy of elevating the brand in terms of movement, technicity, complication, and all that, to really, you know, use all three engines in the best way. So that's the roadmap for me.
You brought in the hype, you brought in the loudness, you brought in something that is just super cool looking and cool to wear. You already have that with Hublot. How do you go back and highlight the high horology that I know Hublot has already done, that Hublot is capable of, while still keeping the hype alive?
Yeah. In terms of materials and innovative materials, we will continue to reinforce. We have really, I would say, the full credit of being kind of the master of new materials. Movement's not. And when you look at all the MPs, you just mentioned the Ferrari, but all the MPs. The other day I was looking at the chart with all the different MPs created. It's been amazing. I need to come with new breakthrough, innovations in technique and in watchmaking as well. But it goes also to the basic movements. I mean, we need to upgrade. We need to use top movements, manufactured movements in every single watch at Hublot. And that's something I want to work on to get the credibility that today we don't get yet. And I think it's not fair because when you visit Hublot again, you visit that, you see the watchmakers, we have great skills. People don't know enough about it. I think it hasn't been put on stage. So it's a full strategy that will take over a year and a half to really get an elevation from a technical and watchmaking expertise.
Today, we're kind of going a little bit backwards, where a lot of the companies are slimming down, they're sizing down their watches. Is there a future for Hublot where we'll see a dress line, where you can show off the finishes, where you can show off the innovation?
First of all, I think people are looking for authenticity. So I don't really like when brands adjust themselves, you know, when it was big, all about big, small watch brands became big and vice versa. I think it's wrong. We should stay who we are. So Big Bang, by definition, will remain pretty much on the bigger side. However, an adjustment like that and 43 millimeters seem for me to be really the well-balanced size and proportion, and that works well. So definitely you're going to have the Big Bang will remain on the bigger side, and we have Classic Fusion. Classic Fusion is a great watch. If you think about the original models, it's a lot about elegance, thinness. The design is even more difficult to make when it's a classic watch, but we have great plans for the evolution of Classic Fusion. So we're going to have two families that are very complementing in a way, you know, each other. And that's going to be great. So you can expect a lot of elegance and dressy watch on the Classic Fusion, but Big Bang is Big Bang. And I'm not going to lie to you. We're going to surprise people.
That was a loaded question. I was hoping you would answer what you just answered me, because you said it exactly. I'm noticing a lot of the other brands out there coming out of their out of themselves, i.e. what they truly are, and becoming something else. And normally the public doesn't really take well to that. And I think continuing the tradition of the Big Bang and the classic fusion alongside with it, I think there's going to be a bright future. What I'm wearing today, I can already tell you I am happy with what I see, and I can't wait to see what's in store.
So you know what? Next step, you come to visit me in the manufacturer.
Okay.
We sit, we take a lot of time, and I can show you more about the future.
So I'll gladly take you up on the offer, and I will definitely come visit you and perhaps show the world just how big you are, just how well your production is done. And no, it's not an assembly line. No, you have a lot of qualified watchmakers working on every single watch. I know this, the world should know this, and I'm sure that with you taking the helm of the company, there are good things to come. I want to thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're a busy man.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for staying with us. Thank you.
It was a pleasure sitting down with Julian, the new CEO of Hublot. He's done wonders for Zenith. We all know that. Can't wait to see what else is in store under his reign. But let's look at some watches.
Of course, we know that Hublot is all about the people, but of course, we're here to not just for the people, we're also here to look at the watches, we're also here to look at the novelties. And at a quick glance, what I saw on the outside is pretty amazing. Now let's get a closer look.
Yeah, the first one is a Big Bang Unico in 44 millimeter in water blue sapphire.
I'm a bit speechless, and I'll tell you why, because in order to mimic water is often a very difficult task, and I think you managed to do a great job in doing so, because as I look at this, the first thing I think of is the ocean.
It's evoking the ocean and the summertime. It's very fresh.
Very first watch I looked at happens to be my pretty much favorite out of the whole bunch, although I had a few favorites. Before you said this is a new Big Bang Sapphire water crystal watch, I right away thought of Waters. Mission accomplished.
Of course, now you brought a tray that takes me back to 2007, which was my first introduction to Hublot. The minute that I look at this watch, I'm like, that's the one that created a revolution. And for 20th anniversary, obviously you guys pay homage to some of the original pieces, but a bit more refined, a bit smaller in size. I actually was wearing this watch earlier. Amazing the fact that you kept the heritage alive, and I'm hoping you continue doing so for many years to come.
Improved movements, improved finishes, improved ergonomics, improved size, interchangeable rubber straps. You get the reminiscence of the one that revolutionized the industry 20 years ago, the Big Bang. It's a lot more refined, it's a lot more comfortable, the finishes are better, obviously the movement is better, everything about it is just better. You still feel like that collector that 20 years ago saw the Big Bang and said, oh wow.
Yeah, here we speak about our Norwin ceramic color.
After that came my next favorite, and that was the mint. They did this mint color, they called it mint. Imagine taking your Rolex Submariner, right, and shining a flashlight on it and then putting it in the dark and you see that bright lume color. That is the literal color of that watch. Also improving in the blue ceramics. The blue was a knockout as well, but that mint, along with the water, one of my favorites. Guys, comment below, blue or mint? They brought back the Tutti Fruttis, they used to call them. And I think they did a great job. Again, more wearable, better pops of color, smaller sizes, very digestible. If you have a thing for sapphire watches, I think Hublot this year single-handedly will take care of that issues all by themselves. And of course, last but not least, talk about going out with a bang. Probably my third favorite is the $1 Million set. I'll let the guy talk about them.
Wow. Material high complication set, just Big Bang tourbillon only, different kind of tourbillon. We have two automatic tourbillons, one in the transparent sapphire case, the other one in the red ceramic case. This is our new automatic tourbillon in our collection with a certain way to do with the 20 years engraved. In the middle we have the water blue chronograph. This is also a chronograph we developed a few years ago, but we put it now in a water blue sapphire case with monopusher at 2 o'clock. And finally we have two minute repeater. The first one is Big Bang integrated in full Texalium blue watch case and bracelet, and the last one is a carbon frosted chronograph tourbillon minute repeater.
Now, for everybody out there that says, I would like to take two of these sets, you cannot, because this is a one of one.
Besides $1 Million bangs, Hublot also knows how to throw a party. 800 people. Usain Bolt was there. Kylian Mbappe was there. They had this crazy magician mentalist somehow ended up on stage with him. Michelin star chefs preparing things that I couldn't even pronounce, but nevertheless, they were mouth-watering. Great music, great vibes, great people. $1 Million Big Bang party, pun intended.